Hey everyone, welcome to episode 26 of the Raw Report. I am your host, Jerry, along with my co-host, Bone Santana, and the Bolivian Siberian, Andre P. Perez over here, continuing our countdown for the top 10 tight ends and super flexes coming up in the NFL season. But before we get started, make sure you hit that like, subscribe button, drop a comment, hit us up on Instagram at Raw Fantasy Sports. And to kick off the countdown, we got...
There is nobody more worthy of having to be casted in the movie Apocalypto than you two gentlemen. But that's for another podcast. Right now, we're going to talk about who's going to go number one overall. And that should be obvious. If you tune into anything into the last season, you will know that Travis Kelce is the unanimous number one overall pick when it comes to tight ends. Whenever it is that you decide to go ahead and draft a tight end within your league, I personally, I would love to tell all the guys that are picking last in their first round to cause chaos and take Travis Kelce with your first pick in the second.
Hell no.
That's my advice to you guys.
Suggesting pure mayhem.
Okay. At the end of the day, Kelce is going to produce like a star running back or a star receiver for the season. So so he's practically like, you can't go wrong with that. And not only that, a good portion of your draft will panic. They'll start, picking early because you're going to throw it out of whack. And everything will now fall in your favor. Travis Kelce, number one tight end, off the board.
Sorry, I had to let that moment pass from Bones' speech. It's just a lot to take in. Talk about misinformation. Shout out to Donnie getting arrested out there in Georgia the other day. Anyway, he won't even make it to the end of the first round. He's getting drafted 5, 6, 7, 8. Unless if you're in a 16 league, he is going in the mid rounds. He is not just a star running back or wide receiver caliber type producer. He is all time there. 34 years old. He's been the reigning champ at the tight end position for the last 48 years. He's only 34. Do the math. Okay, that's how good he is. He gives you those overall production numbers. The guy's a beast, man. He's not going to last to the end of the round. I've seen a lot of ADPs, a lot of mock drafts daily, and he doesn't go at the end of the first round, bro. Yeah, so get him if you can, because you're gonna get a bunch of wide receivers out. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, the white Jesus and McCaffrey. Eckler, they're going to be gone, and you want the number one production at that position, it's only him.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's a hands down, pretty much overall pick here for Travis Kelce. Number one in yards, number one in points, number one in touchdowns, and number one in pretty much everybody's hearts. Okay, so Travis Kelce, future Hall of Famer, 7 straight seasons, over 1,000 receiving yards. Whew, the guy is on fire. So I wouldn't be surprised if somebody causes a stir up in your league as far as taking Travis Kelce within the first 5 rounds. Travis Kelce, what is there to say, man? Future Hall of Famer, multiple Super Bowl rings with Patty Mahomes. Even if he didn't have Patty Mahomes, man, he would still have a significant amount of rings. So I firmly believe he's just a legend through and through from the jump. With our next pick, Dr. Dre, it's all about you.
Yeah, so a few years younger, but another great white boy with a beard, Mark Andrews from your Baltimore Ravens, right across the Beltway from myself in Northern Virginia. He's Lamar's favorite white boy, not just a security blanket, but he gets those yards. He gets hit, yards after contact. He had like some injuries last year. He only had 847 yards, 5 touchdowns. And there's a report that he missed practice yesterday with an undisclosed injury, but Coach Harbaugh said that they're working through it, so it doesn't sound like it's anything major, maybe something personal, who knows, but he's going to get back on the field, and I don't think there's a clear-cut number 2 besides him. We're going to mention a few other names down this list, but he's the clear-cut number 2. It's a big gap between Kelce and Andrews production-wise. but Andrews may fall, fifth, sixth round, once a bunch of studs at other positions get taken place. And I think the panic will set in at the tight end position because it's so scarce. There's not many there. So once Andrews is picked, mark my words, he's gonna all the tight ends are gonna be taken. So choose wisely.
Yeah, if Travis Kelce were to go down today, Mark Andrews would be the clear number one. With an active Travis Kelce, he is a solid number two across the board. Number two in yards, number two in points, number two all around last year in fantasy, especially in PPR leagues. The guy's been very consistent from the very jump since 2018 coming into the league all the way into last year. He had 73 receptions and 847 yards, and that's that. Lamar runs the ball, and there's about a good 4 or 5 receivers now this season with the addition of OBJ. I like Mark Andrews, man. That's a solid pick. I also wouldn't be surprised if somebody pulls a surprise pick in the first round for Mark Andrews.
Wow.
Okay.
That's bold. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, no, I agree with it. He may go. I say second. Like I said, it's a scarce position, but we'll see. Who you got up next, Jerry?
All right, so for my next pick, the number 3 pick, I'm gonna go with TJ Hawkinson. I think he's gonna be another solid contributor, which wraps up our top 3. I think new addition out in Minnesota, guys. So we gotta see what he's gonna do with Kirk Cousins. Last year he was 3 in points, 3 in yards, number 4 in touchdowns, and number 2 in receptions as far as tight ends. So he's a solid number 3 in my book.
Yeah, I mean, he got acquired mid-season, right? So one of the big things is establishing that rapport with your quarterback, with your O-line, your route running, your timing, full preseason, OTAs, all that, drills. He's got plenty to do. Maybe behind Justin Jefferson and the new wide receiver they drafted too. He's could be Kirk Cousins' next best friend, security blanket. Maybe he could block the ball. Alexander Madison, new running back, so he may have to pick up some other duties there, but we'll see. Yeah, I like it. It's not many players at this position, but he's up there. Yeah.
I don't like it because I'm just not a fan of him, though. The only reason why it absolutely makes sense and why he has to be taken that high above other tight ends who I consider better is because that offense is now a more passing offense than it is running. Last year, obviously, they were trying to keep Dalvin Cook happy along with Madison. But now, like this year, obviously with the acquisition that they did mid-season for TJ, obviously, they're leaning more towards passing. So now with a full season under his belt with Captain Kirk, like the stats have to be there. But yeah. I mean, it's like you said, this is a scarce position. With my next pick, somebody who I consider a better player than TJ, but because of the offense that he's in, doesn't go as high. And this is George Kittle, all right, from the 49ers, who
Nice.
a couple seasons ago posted like it was a race between him, Waller, and Kelce for who was the best tight end, right? Like everybody remembers how like they were unstoppable. They were great in the block, in the running game, also catching. And not only do they catch it, but they get yak. It was between Kelce and Kittle on who had the most yak for a tight end that season. And the potential that Kittle has to explode every week is pretty high up there. Also, you have to take into consideration that they love to run the ball in San Francisco. So there will be some times where he won't be in a consistent output week in, week out. But he is liable to give you a 20-point game at any given week, any given Sunday.
Kittle I like 4. George Kittle, man. He did 5 in points, 6 in yards, 3rd in touchdowns, and 9 in receptions. I think he tied up. I know the hype that you're talking about here, Bones. He did score 11 touchdowns, a little bit over 700 yards last season receiving. So George Kittle, he can get in the end zone, man. He's proven it time and time again. I don't know what will come of this season now that the quarterback situation remains shaky. I think they're going to continue to run the ball very much. But I don't see why Kittle couldn't be another solid contributor. a utility player, what have you. He can block, he can get the ball in the end zone. I'm not too sure if he's going to be able to get it through the air, but he's definitely going to get another 10 touchdowns, in my opinion.
All right.
Double digits.
Yeah. Look, when Brock Purdy is at quarterback, George Kittle produces. Right. I would have put George Kittle side by side Mark Andrews ahead of TJ Hawkinson. The question and the term of the day is the word of the day is durability. Can he last? You know, he's not as young as Kittle as Hawkinson. You know, he's
That's
about
the
3 years
thing.
older. He's 29. You know, he's
That's
been
the thing.
shaky. He's been shaky. If he's on the field, he produces. If he's not, he can't do anything, right? He's watching from the sidelines. So if he's on the field and with Brock Purdy, he's producing, right? What I mean by that is when Brock Purdy took over and he started playing, 10 of those 11 touchdowns came from Brock Purdy, not another quarterback. 10 of those 11 touchdowns
Wow.
came from Brock Purdy. So
Wow.
that alone, like I won't even touch into the yards. 544 yards with Brock out of the 765 in 9 games. It's staggering how much better he is with Brock Purdy. So Brock Purdy, I think, has that job nailed down. Shanahan is sticks to his word. He's about his convictions, and Kittle may end up top 3 fantasy tight end, top 2 if he stays on the field.
Yeah.
Nice.
Straight up. Straight up.
I mean,
So with our next pick, Dre, you got the 5th pick of the draft. I mean,
okay, yeah.
You getting excited there.
Relax. Getting a little ahead of myself, man.
No, it's okay. It's just that it's Dallas Goedert. All right, he's in Philly. So next. All right.
Spoken like a true Eagles
that,
hater, you
I had to
Commanders
get that out
fanatic.
of there. I had to get that out of
Look
there.
at look at all those
Dallas
Redskins
Goedert,
jerseys in the background.
He's been on my squad a couple of years, man. I like Dallas Goedert. He produces. He may be the 3rd option on that squad, right? You got AJ Brown, number 1, clear cut. Devontae. So as the 3rd option, though, I think Jalen Hurts is still improving as a passer, right? He doesn't want to be known as a run first guy, although he has that dual threat ability. You know, you gotta use it if you have it. If you don't use it, you lose it. So he had 700 yards, 3 touchdowns. I believe those touchdowns should improve, right? But yeah, no, Dallas Goedert would be rounding out that the top half, number 5 for me.
Yeah, I got to rock with my Eagles, obviously. I like Dallas. I think that, ever since he came into the Eagles, he basically took Zach Ertz's job. Okay, so he's been solid as far as staying on the team. However, the bit of the hit of the bump of the road for me would be is that he's never been able to get more than 5 receiving touchdowns in a season, but he can get you a solid 700 yards, 800 yards in a season, I feel. So from a PPR standpoint, he's golden, man. He's going to get you receptions and he's going to get you yards. However, you got to be on the lookout for that touchdown component because he can get you 3 touchdowns, he can get you 4 touchdowns. And we're going to talk about the meat on the bones. You always want to stick to plenty of touchdowns like we were just speaking with George Kittle.
Write that down. Meat on the bones.
So like I mentioned here, a great pick, Andre. I like Dallas, man. I gotta go with my home team, Philadelphia. And with our next pick, with my next pick, actually, we're gonna go to the bottom half of the countdown here, guys. And for my next pick, I'm gonna go with Kyle Pitts.
Oh my Jesus!
I'm gonna go with Kyle Pitts. I think the situation in Atlanta will drastically improve. And
home of the Fulton County jail system where Donald Trump spent a few hours there. Oh wait, no, 20 minutes.
He's gonna steady recover from that knee injury last year. His season was cut short, but I thoroughly believe the situation in Atlanta will improve. All right, they got a few new bodies out there. And I wouldn't see why, he put up a few stats up there. I'm not saying that he's a superstar, guys, by any means, but this is what we're talking about as far as the tight end market goes. We're getting to the bottom half of the top 10. And as you can see, guys, it's getting very tough to choose a player that's gonna put solid contribution towards your team.
No, you're right. I mean, Kyle Pitts, physical specimen, no doubt about it. The ability is there, the structure is there, but Desmond Ridder as your quarterback, what you don't know what to expect there. right? Can he stay healthy? He had, knee surgery. It's not something easy you come back to. You just strap on a brace and then you're back on the field. You got to rehab it well, test it out. In game time, hope he doesn't aggravate it and he produces because he has that talent. That talent is there. It's not even about working hard. He just needs to stay healthy and he'll be up there. But once we get to this tier of tight ends, it's difficult. You could just plug and play different names. But if he can get back to the previous season where he produced like crazy, he could end up a top 5 tight end. Maybe help you win a few playoff games in your fantasy leagues, fellas.
I have nothing nice to say about Kyle Pitts. It was a waste of a draft pick for me last season.
Raise your hand if you've been personally victimized by Kyle Pitts.
And what makes it worse is that I know he's dating Regina George, and it was. I know it's her fault. I know it's her fault that he had a down season. He definitely had a fugly season through and through. I know I speak for every manager that picked Kyle Pitts last season. That's exactly how they feel about him this year, and I will gladly stay clear from that. But speaking about hope and potential, I have the 7th pick, and if I'm stuck down here, you might as well go for you might as well start swinging for the fences. And I'm gonna pick a player who not even not so long ago was one of the star tight ends of this league before injuries, slowed him down. But now he finds himself in a brand new team with a brand new quarterback and a system that apparently fits him well. It's about Darren Waller.
Nice.
At 7, I don't think that's bad. Obviously he hasn't improved much in the last 2 seasons. In the few games that he has played, all he does is moss poor safeties and linebackers. It's just it was like Dre mentioned earlier. Your best ability is availability. And that's been his issue the past couple of seasons, but reports coming out of the Giants camp saying that he is meshing well. He looks healthy, he's fit, hasn't had any setbacks whatsoever. So if Kelsey, Andrews, TJ, Kittle, and Goddard are off your board, I would go with a higher potential. I would bypass Pitts and I would just go with Waller.
I love that pick, Bones. Darren Waller, was a huge fan of him out in Vegas. And, he's basically 3 years removed from being a top 3 tight end in the league. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. He hasn't been able to finish a full season since 2020. However, this guy can definitely put up stats whenever healthy. All right. Last year, it was just a hiccup, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, played 9 games. The season before, 11 games, 600 yards, 2 touchdowns. So I think that Darren Waller, if he can stay healthy and out in New York now, he got traded to the Giants. He has a new quarterback, Daniel Dimes, something to help the Giants out. I think Darren Waller, if he can stay healthy, he's going to do big things in New York. But it's a 50-50 shot in my book.
Yeah. If his production boils down to two things, right? I was going to say one thing. I stuttered for a second there. The reason why is I don't think he's that injury prone, right? He hasn't really been in his career. It's the quarterback play. So if Danny Dimes or Danny Pennies, depends on who shows up, right? If he's catching dimes, because the Giants needed a wide receiver 1, they didn't get it this offseason, right? All the free agents went elsewhere. So they got Darren Waller. He needs to be the man out there. So touchdowns, yards should improve. He should stay on the field, but it all depends on how Daniel Jones plays. So keep an eye on how they're meshing. Watch the practice field. Watch those updates. If they're meshing well, they're doing well. Darren Waller gives you some points, some solid points at a not very solid position.
This is how I have it in my mind. If Saquon does well, Darren Waller does well. Because once those linebackers start going up to stop the run, that's Darren Waller.
Of course, it goes hand in hand. They stop the run. They load the box. Darren Waller's he's a physical specimen. He's out there in the flat. He's out there in a post route, and he can make people miss. So we'll see. I like it, Bones. who I like more has been Mr. Consistent. Maybe not the flashiest guy, not the guy you see in the club pulling up in a Bugatti. He rolls up in the 98 Corolla and a 98 Civic, right? Mr. Pat Fryermuth or Vermouth. I believe that you use vermouth in martinis. So you don't need a lot. You just need a little sprinkle, but it gives you that good taste, right?
Right.
He's very solid, consistent, not flashy. He's not going to give you 15, 20 points a game, but he's not going to give you a fat donut either. Right? If you need 6, 7 points, like we mentioned at the beginning, this position there's hardly any names that you can write home about. So Pat for Muth, if he's available in those later rounds, while everyone has the big names, Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkinson, Kittle gone, you don't have a tight end and he's there, your rest of your roster is squared away, pick him up. Pick him up and get those 6, 7 points. Those can be difference makers when the game comes down to the wire.
I love that pick. Actually, you're completely correct when you mention that he's not a big scorer from a touchdown standpoint, but if you have him in your PPR league, he gets receptions. In fact, he got 63 receptions last year on 98 targets, so that's pretty darn good if you ask me. Over 700 yards in the air. And I don't see why not, man. That's a great pick in the later rounds. And like we mentioned before, this is probably one of the best top 10 tight ends that will be available. As we know, we don't have too many tight ends these days. So great pick, Dre. I'm a big fan of the new guys here in Jacksonville. The revival is coming, guys. For my next pick, guys, at number 9. Yeah, I'm going to go with my guys out in sunny Florida, and I'm not talking about Miami. I'm talking about Jacksonville. I'm going with Evan Ingram, okay? Trevor Lawrence seems to be in a heavenly situation. Calvin Ridley, okay? They got their running game secure. They got their air game secure. Evan Ingram is going to put it up there, guys. He gets plenty of receptions, 73 last year to be exact, 766 yards. 4 touchdowns, okay? We should see those numbers increase, all right? Trevor Lawrence will be slinging it, and Doug Peterson will be assigning the run as best as he can. So, guys, do not slack on Evan Ingram this year with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's going to be a passing offense. So, like we said before, this is the scarce round, scarce names, but don't be surprised if Ingram has a good season because obviously, defenses are going to hone in on Ridley, on Kirk, and that's going to leave Ingram open. And if the running game does well with ATN, you can put up solid numbers throughout the season. You just got to get more than 5, 6 points at this stage of the draft so you can have somebody there to rely on.
Yeah, it's gonna be a passing offense. He's gonna be third option in the air behind Ridley and Kirk. But that's if Ridley establishes rapport. Kirk is Lawrence's guy. Sunshine State throws it to Kirk a lot. So I like Evan Ingram taking advantage of that, getting in those that red zone, that scoring situation. He may get a lot of touchdowns, maybe not a lot of yards, but he can probably get some up his touchdowns. Because I think he had sub 500 yards last year, right? So with a lot of people eating off the same plate, he may not get a lot of yards, but he'll get those touchdowns. Hopefully get some receptions too, help your PPR leagues.
Right. Now we have the last pick, and we're going to go with poor man's Gronkowski. He may have his build, but we're talking about Cole Kmet from the Chicago Bears. So last year, during the middle of the season, he had a little explosion. He had a little explosion of multiple touchdowns and a good amount of yardage, when Fields was dazzling the league with 150 yards rushing. So, but then obviously he came down to earth a little bit, was no longer putting up, 10, 15 point, outputs in fantasy, started going back to the single digits. But now with a full season on hand, and if you happen to draw the unlucky number 10 card on drafting a tight end, Kmet. Chicago Bears.
I love Komet. I love that. I like that pick. It's a low key pick. He put up 7 touchdowns last season, which is
Look
something
at
that
that.
stands out greatly here. And he also had 50 receptions. So it sounds like to me he's a solid pick for PPR leagues. I like that pick, Bones.
Yeah, he can produce. If he sustains that flash that he had for those few weeks, that'd be great. Justin Fields hopefully keeps improving as a passer, relies on his tight end to bail him out and underneath. That'd be great. There was a little injury scare yesterday where he exited practice off on a cart, right? But apparently they said head coach said that he feels normal. He looks normal. He's normal. Uh, I when I tore my Achilles, I got back up and shot the ball and said I felt normal too. So who knows, right? Only he knows. So we'll find out how much that injury being carted off will affect him come game time. But yeah, they need him out there. Justin Fields needs his boy out there. So those receptions hopefully go up, get you some PPR points. How many yards did he have, Jerry?
About 500, over a little bit over 500 yards.
Yeah, so the yards aren't nothing to write home about, but hopefully all that increases as Justin Field gets better.
Shut up, Andre. I don't want you agreeing with me.
Oh, trust me, it's I'm already. I had to leave the screen for a second. I don't know if you saw it.
All right, guys. So as we doing a quick power round of super flexes. All right, we're doing a top 5 super flex round, and with the first pick, Andre, who is your super flex for this year?
I like Amari Cooper.
Ooh,
Love Amari.
nice.
Love Amari Cooper this year. He's got that full season with Watson. In the words of the late great Danny P. Perez, oh, buddy. Imagine, bro, 1,100 yards within his first season with basically, a bridge quarterback, a plug and play guy. Imagine a full season with Watson. He had 9 TDs, right? His ADP right now is at 45. Some people may jump and get him a little bit earlier in the 3rd round. I think it's a reach. I think 45 is a very suitable position. If some people aren't convinced on him and he drops down to that 50 range, snag him. Snag him. Not you, Bones. But yeah, everyone else you can snag him.
Yeah, I agree there with that pick, Dre. Amari Cooper, solid contributor. Doesn't matter who's behind the center. All right, he's gonna get his stats up over 136 targets, guys. He's done this maybe twice in the last 3 seasons. So we should get more production now that we're gonna get Deshaun Watson for an assumed full season. So I don't see why he shouldn't catch more receptions. He has 78 receptions last year, 132 targets. All right. So if he can get that number, look, 9 touchdowns, 1,100 yards. I mean, the guy's a stud. I definitely see him climbing the draft, actually. So there might be a great secret pick now that we're doing this episode. With my next pick, guys, I'm gonna go with Raheem Mostert out in the Dolphins. I know you like that, Bones. All right, Raheem Mostert seems like he's the RB1 out in Miami. And I like him, man. I think he's gonna do some production out there. They're gonna utilize him wisely, and he should put up solid work, man. 181 attempts last year, 891 yards, and 5 touchdowns. As you guys know, they traded him from the 49ers to Miami, and it seemed like that trade-off was great. So, we should see what he has in store for this season, man.
Not until we trade for Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, there he is. God damn it. We were having a good time.
It's not an episode unless he brings it up, right, Dre?
Yeah, you're right. Bones has to get his nut in. All right, yeah, okay, but we're living in the real world. Jonathan Taylor's not on the squad yet. We're talking Raheem Mostert. They're gonna need to run the rock. So let's do it. Raheem Mostert, good pick. I mean, he's 31, so not the youngest of guys, but even when they acquired him, like you said in that trade, he produced immediately for the Finns. So it's an exciting team to watch. Hopefully, he leads the backfield. Let's watch.
I mean, the Dolphins were the 3rd. They call the 3rd fewest running plays in the league last season. And that's something that Coach McDaniel said that he has to drastically improve on. So with that being said, Raheem, even at his age, gave you 800 yards, 5 touchdowns, with barely any running calls. So if he does, even if he gives you the same output that he did last season, but with more of an emphasis on actually running the rock, probably looking at 1,000 yard like rusher right there. We have a fullback. Not so many teams apply a fullback in most of their plays. And we have one now, a Pro Bowler, Alec Ingold. So I look forward to a good running game in Miami with Raheem, obviously, of course, leading the helm and a couple others, behind him. So you'll probably like even this one, a receiver that didn't make it into our top 10, an honorable mention, and a great receiver out to have, DK Metcalf at number 3 for a super flex.
Nice.
All right, everybody knows about DK. This man is known to win most of the jump balls, and for the most part, they're all deep, meaning that you're getting an extra set of points when when the stats come through in fantasy.
Oh,
and him being the number 1 option out there in Seattle still.
Yeah, Geno Smith is. I think Geno Smith is. It's not a 1-year hype. He's still He's balling out there.
He's balling. He's going to throw the ball.
Yeah, I like DK Metcalf producing. He barely did not make that top 10 receiver list. But yeah, I like it. Good pick. My other pick, and I'm gonna go with another wide receiver because I'm heavy on the PPR. I like Cortland Sutton, in Denver, in the Mile High City. It's hopefully it's Broncos country. Let's ride. But we'll see. We'll see. I just think with Jerry Jeudy out for those few games, Cortland Sutton, had that rapport. He's gonna get a little bit more target share. Russ has to improve. It's not like maybe. No, he has to improve. A lot of reports are saying that his arm strength isn't there. So Cortland Sutton needs to, they get that route running right. Cortland Sutton is going to get you some extra receptions, some points there, maybe a few more yards. Not a huge red zone threat, but maybe he adds that to his game.
That's a great pick, man. I'm hoping that it's Broncos country and hopefully they ride. I mean, Sean Payton went out there to clean house, and Russell Wilson better get his act together. My next pick, which should be on everybody's radar, DJ Moore out in Chicago. Justin Fields, another guy that has been mentioned in the podcast consistently. He's going to produce out there. Justin Fields is due for a breakout season, allegedly. So DJ Moore will be the guy to produce those points for you guys, all right? So that basically wraps up our top 5 bonus round here for Fantasy Football 2023. And as you guys know, we are having our draft September 2nd live draft. RFS, we have over 5 leagues, plenty of prize money and jackpots to go after. Serious professional fantasy footballers out here. And I'd like to thank everybody in the RFS family for making our 12th season happen. All right. And this is our 2nd year doing our fantasy football special for our top 10 tight ends, wide receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks. So make sure you guys check that out on our YouTube channel. Before we get out of here, make sure you hit the like, subscribe button, drop a comment. Hit us up on Instagram at Raw Fantasy Sports. What have you, fellas?
Raw Fantasy Sports. Hit the like, hit the comment, hit the share, give it to your family, give it to your pastor. I don't care who.
All right, good luck to you guys. Good luck to you, gentlemen. Let's see if we put together a live draft episode just for you guys, the audience. And we'll see you on the next episode. Episode 27 should be week 1 of the NFL. So we'll see you at the start of the season, guys.
Be back with that dub.
I wish you guys nothing but disorder and panic when you draft.
He can't be a Jesus. All right.